everyone. So I am in a different place today. It's really horrible weather. So I'm sitting on 3 pillows to make me tall enough to be by my window. Anyway, I put on my Instagram a poll asking what video people want to see next, and exposure ladders won by a mile. So today I have my exposure ladders with me. I have this one from my CBT session and this one that I made afterwards with someone who comes to my house and helps me with my anxiety using the resources from CBT. So for those of you that don't know what an exposure ladder is, it's basically a way of breaking down anxiety into small manageable steps. So here is an example of a ladder, and the top one here or here would be the anxiety that you want to combat. So for me in this one, it's eating in front of people, and you'd break it down into small steps to achieve that goal. So the least anxiety inducing situation would be down here, and you'd work your way up, making sure that you're calm and ready to move on before progressing to a more anxiety inducing situation. Now for my first exposure ladder. So I have this very extreme anxiety, which meant I couldn't eat in front of people, and if I could, it would only be really close people, so just a select few people. I'm a very fussy eater, which meant that I found going to restaurants quite difficult because I'd quite often see a dish and be like, oh, can I not have this on it? And it would make me feel like I was an inconvenience to the waiters, and therefore I wouldn't be able to order my own food and I would get other people to do it. So this anxiety ladder, exposure ladder, kind of has a lot of things involved within it, 3 different aspects that it was trying to sort out. Now, my overall goal was to be able to eat in front of 6 people at a restaurant because my friend had invited me out for a meal right at the time I was doing CBT. Now, my first step on my anxiety ladder was to look at menus online for different places. Now, although I knew the place we were going to for this particular meal, a lot of the time I felt like I hadn't been able to go to other people's meals because it's a place that I'm not familiar with. So the first step was quite easy, just looking at menus online, maybe pictures of the places you're going to go out to eat at, so that you know what it looks like and you're more familiar with the surroundings. Okay, so the second part was practicing ordering. Now, I realised when making my exposure ladder, I can't keep going out for dinner, like I don't have the money to do that. So my school has a cafe, and I would buy little things just so I could be like, oh, can I have a brownie today? Can I have Victoria sponge? And I'd also go to the fish and chip shop down the road at lunchtime at school so that I could practice ordering just one thing. So it'd only be me saying something that was very specific, something I didn't change, like chips, and then I could just walk off. And I did all of these things with someone that I was comfortable with near me, so my boyfriend or just one of my friends. At this point I couldn't do it on my own. So the third part of my anxiety ladder was the most nerve-wracking for me so far in it. It was asking for alterations in food, or asking, oh, does this contain this ingredient? Now, I started this at school. There was brownies and I knew they had raisins in them, but I decided to ask the lady. I was like, oh, does this have raisins in it? And it was just small stuff like that. That was probably a bit weird to ask for me. I was like, okay, I must seem like an idiot. But it was really important because although it didn't matter to me with those brownies, at a restaurant situation, it would have been really important for me to not feel uncomfortable asking to make changes to certain meals. Before I go on to the actual first meal that I went on, I think it's important to say that I practiced these steps a lot. And by a lot, I mean I kept doing them over and over again, literally every single day, to the point that I could actually order the chips at lunch on my own without people going there. Now that did take a while. It took maybe like a month, 2 months, but now I can say to my boyfriend or my friends, okay, you can go and get something from Greg's and I'll go and go to the fish and chip shop and I'll meet you somewhere else, which was something I was never able to do before. Anyway, then I went out to a restaurant with my boyfriend because he was someone I felt comfortable with, and I wanted to combat eating in front of like other people and people being around me. So I decided, it was actually his idea, to break up the food I was eating, because sometimes to me, seeing a whole meal in front of me, it seems very daunting. I was like, I have to eat all of this with so many people around me. So we got a meal to share, and he cut up the pizza into little bits, so it was like party food, and I was able to eat a lot more that way because it didn't seem like it was such a big thing to do. Now, ideally, I would have wanted to practice this with someone else as well, but I was out for a day trip with my dad and my boyfriend, and we realised that we were out quite late and had to get dinner, and there was no familiar restaurants, so on the spot I had to go to a brand new restaurant, which, given the fact that this was my anxiety at the time, wasn't exactly ideal, but it was also kind of helpful. So I went to a new restaurant and I ordered myself, I think, anyway, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure I did. I looked at the menu before going in, although ideally I would have liked to look at it a few days before. It was alright, and I didn't feel that uncomfortable eating. There wasn't that many people there, which was kind of good. It wasn't perfect, but it was a step in the right direction. So after that, really, it was just a case of going out with more people, going out to different places, trying different foods. I mean, I say that, I mean different pizza. So I went out with, was it four or five? Yeah, four of some of my good friends, and we went to a pizza buffet. So this was a massive test for me. I have some allergies. I'm vegetarian and I'm allergic to mushrooms and stuff, so it didn't really give me much options. And I said to the waiter who came over, he was like, oh, are there any special requirements? So I had to explain this to him, and he made like jokes. He was like, oh, that's so funny, like you basically can't eat anything. And I was like laughing, and for something that would have made me seem like I was an inconvenience before, it became a bit of a joke, and I was able to eat the pizza because I felt relaxed. I felt like there was more humour there. It was a more chilled out atmosphere. It was a buffet, so I could get things when I wanted. I didn't have to have a whole meal in front of me and eat when I wanted. So that was a really, really, really good step. Here is the final bit. I then was able to go out. I think it was about a week later. I'm not too sure. I think I've got some of my timings a bit mixed up with this. But I went out with the 6 people, and I managed to eat 2 courses. I had a starter and a main. I ate it all. I ordered myself. We were sitting on a circular table also, which, given the situation, wasn't entirely ideal, because obviously that way everyone can see you, whereas if you're at like a square table, it's just a person opposite you. But I mean, that was another test that I didn't see coming, and it was completely fine. Everyone was so nice. It was really chilled out, and it made me realise there was nothing really to worry about. So, like I said, now I can order food myself. I'm still practicing. There will still be some situations I'm like, okay, this is a bit stressful, but because I'm constantly practicing these steps, it's making them a lot more manageable for me. So that's the most important thing with exposure ladders. Keep doing one step at a time. Don't just rush on, and you need to be calm between each step. Although I have mentioned that I have 2 exposure ladders, thinking about timings, this video will be extremely long if I start talking about my 2nd exposure ladder in the same video. So because I'm still working on this one here, I will make this into a 2nd video and explain where I'm at now with this 2nd exposure ladder and the ways it's helping me and my progress with it, as it's not one that I've completely overcome yet. So that will be in my next video, because I don't want to just show you all my finished things. I also want to show you my journey as well, because anxiety isn't just something that you immediately recover from just from doing one technique. But anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video where I talk about my latest anxiety ladder.